good day to all, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, Senior Pastor, New Life Christian Center, located at 400 Hillcrest Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. So if you're ever in our area, we invite you to come and worship with us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. And if you're not in our area, we invite you to tune in to our Sunday sermon on our YouTube channel at New Life Christian Center Pastor Pope, where we go live with the sermon at 10:45 a.m. And we invite you to come and experience a better quality of life. So I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we're here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And I want to share with all of our listeners and viewers, we have a lot going on at New Life Christian Center, located at 400 Hillcrest Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. So let me say this to you. We have a vendor fair coming up. It is posted on our Facebook page. You can go to our Facebook page and see how you can become a vendor, or you can just come out and purchase from vendors. But you will see on our Facebook page that the vendor fair that is coming up is actually going to be on Saturday. And let me make sure I got the date right here. It is going to be on and I don't have the date correct in front of me. So just stay with me for a moment while I get the date for you, because I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to come out and be a part of that. That is going to be on September the 20th. So right after our Family and Friends, which is on September 14th, the vendor fair is going to be on Saturday, September 20th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And if you want to sign up as a vendor, go to niftydrifties25@gmail.com, and you'll be able to register as a vendor. And then, of course, we have our Gospel Jazz Brunch coming up on November the 9th from 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. So you can go on our Facebook page. You will find the flyer for that. Tickets are $30 for early bird up until September the 15th. After that, the tickets will be $35. You can Zelle on our T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424 to register, or you can Zelle us on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424 to purchase your tickets so that you can participate and be present for our Gospel Jazz Brunch. A lot going on at New Life Christian Center. So let me just say this to all of our listeners and viewers also. If you have a vehicle that you would like to donate and get a tax-deductible contribution, text us on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. We will provide you with the link. It is posted on Facebook, but we will provide you with the link so that you can go there and directly donate your vehicle. And you will receive a tax deduction for the value of your vehicle. Anywhere in the U.S., we can pick up the vehicle and you will receive a tax contribution for the vehicle that you donate, for the value of the vehicle. So I wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of all of the things that are happening at New Life Christian Center. All of the proceeds to all of those events will go to our public charity, New Life Food Source Pantry. And you want to make sure that you do not miss out on anything that is happening at New Life Christian Center. And of course, this Saturday, we will be having a car wash to raise money for our food pantry. We will be having a car wash from 10 to 2. I'll be out there washing cars also. If you want to spray me with water, you can. But I just want to make sure that you come out, have some fun. You'll see us having fun, but we are having a car wash from 10 to 2 on this Saturday at New Life Christian, right in the parking lot of New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your son is in a relationship with a woman who appears to have no ambition or goals. You said she wants to get married. They now have a child together. She wants to get married and be a stay-at-home mom. So your concern is that he is getting himself into a situation that is going to cause him some distress long term. Let me explain to you what's going on there based on what you communicated, and I will tell you this. There are situations where in this society that we're living in today, they even have a term for it in the culture. It's called pretty privilege. And unfortunately, because your son is working in his career, he's had some success, and now has hooked up. I'll just use the term the young millennials are using. He's hooked up with someone who you say really has no ambition or goals. Her only goal is to be a stay-at-home mom. Now, are there some advantages to children being raised by a stay-at-home mother for the first few years? Sure, there are some advantages. But in today's society, unless you are making, and I'm just going to say this out loud, unless you're making over seven figures a year, which would put you in the $1 million bracket, which is only going to put you into maybe 10% of the population. Anything over that is going to be the 1%. And actually, I think that's actually the 1%. But I say that to you to say that unless your son's making over $1 million a year, in this day and time, 6 figures doesn't do it. $100,000 a year doesn't lend to being a stay-at-home mom with a family of 3. Unless he's making over $1 million a year, they need to build a life together. They need to work towards building a life together. The reality is, they have a baby now. The baby's a year old. You got to realize that once the baby's able to go to daycare or preschool, she's going to have to find something to do for a career, something to do that is going to allow them to build a life together. Because if not, what's eventually going to happen is your son is going to get worn out, and that relationship is not going to end well. You know, this is not the time in which our grandparents lived, when, you know, our grandparents were able to have 9 children. And I'm using that as a personal analogy. One set of my grandparents stayed married until the days that they went home to be with the Lord, but they had 9 children. And my grandmother stayed home, but my grandfather not only worked a full-time job, he ran a business. He worked in the steel mill for a full shift every day, and then on the gas station, and then eventually another gas station. So she was able to stay home because they had so many children. But my other set of grandparents didn't do that. My grandfather worked, and they had 9 children, and my grandmother worked. But they too stayed together until the day that they went home to be with the Lord. But it's a different dynamic now. Everybody has to put some sweat equity into it. So unfortunately, your son has hooked up with someone who believes in pretty privilege, that because she's attractive and because she's, and you said that yourself, she's an attractive woman, young lady, she's giving him a child, and now she thinks that's her reward. Stay at home. But how are you going to not only build something together, but maximize the quality of life? If you're not looking for ways to build a greater life for themselves and their child. And then what happens if she has another child? So it's great to have grandchildren, and it's great for them to have children when they're married, because the Bible says, blessed is a man that has a quiver full, but we also have to look at the bigger picture. We have to be willing to say, okay, let's look at all possible dynamics to build a great quality of life. So I can only tell you this. He has decided to have a child with this young woman. It would be to your benefit, and that's why your son is having that conversation with you, to have a conversation as a woman with this young lady and explain to her that what she's doing is not conducive for a successful marriage, and she wants to be married. But the problem is, and you said this in your communication, she spends all her time, being pretty for him, so she thinks, but she spends no time trying to assist him in building a great quality of life. Unfortunately enough, thus far, he's making a good living, so he's able to take care of his child. But however, you have to recognize that she's going to have to recognize that she's got to set some more goals for herself other than just being pretty. She has to at least be inspired to have some ambition about what she can do to help him build a great quality of life for her and their child. A lot of dynamics to relationships. But at the end of the day, if she really wants to be married and build her family, she can't just get married because she's pretty. She can't just stay at home because she's pretty. There has to be a plan for that. Okay, she's going to stay at home until our child is 3. Okay. But that's a goal. And then she's going to, or 2 or 3, and then she's going to go back into or get into the workforce in some type of career that will allow the two of them to build a great quality of life together. And that will lend to a marriage and a successful marriage. Because otherwise, eventually what's going to happen is the relationship's going to come to an end, and he's just going to be supporting his child, and she's going to be left alone. Pretty doesn't last forever. And I would say to you that it would be beneficial to both your son and to her to have a conversation with her. And if she's not receptive to what you have to say, then stamp the dust off your feet. Let's follow the word. Stamp the word of God. Stamp the dust off your feet and keep moving. And allow them to figure it out for themselves. Because they will have to figure it out at some point in time. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. If you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, You may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's most largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated you are a single mother with 3 children who has difficulty finding someone to enjoy a relationship with. Okay. You want to know, how can you have a successful relationship while also including your children? Let me first of all say this to you. Your children are not the problem. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. If a man wants you, he wants the children that have come out of you also. He wants to nurture them, develop them, nurture them, support them, and get them to on their journey of life. Now they're young, but he won't have a problem with that. That's not the problem. Not for a real man. The problem is you have to learn just to lead your children and not try to lead a man. And I'll tell you what that looks like. A man has to be able to be a gentleman. He has to be able to lead you in the way that God would have him to go. But there are little simple dynamics that mean a man is leading. Not ruling, being a ruler, but leading. Now, sure, some rules have to be established. Allow him to establish those rules in the relationship, what those will look like in the relationship. But it's the simple things. You know, one of the things that, you know, single mothers have the tendency to do is walk on the outside of the curb. And I'll tell you the reason why, because they're used to protecting their children. But when you have a man, it's the man's job to walk on the outside of the curb because he's a gentleman and because he's protecting you and the children. So it's those little nuances. You know, when there's discussions about the children, he has to be able to be included in the discussions so that he can then determine how he can support. So there are specific dynamics, but your children aren't the problem. So if the children are not the problem and the man is not the problem, then it's got to be you. And not in a negative sense, just in the fact of you're doing what you've always done because it's just you've been a single mother. Single means one. You've been doing it alone. But when someone expresses an interest in you, you no longer have to do it alone because they're willing to do it with you. They're willing to do it with you because they know that you can build a stronger family unit because he's chosen you. Now, here's the other component to that. You don't have to find someone. They'll find you. There are things you can do. You go to more child-friendly places. Sometimes the places that you go because it's a burden to you. But you can go to more child-friendly places where you will see men who have their children for the weekend or their child for the weekend, and they'll see you too. But it doesn't just have to be someone with a small child. It can be someone who's single who takes an interest in you, and if he takes an interest in you, he'll take an interest in your children. Because those children could become a part of his legacy. Now, you got to realize when they grow up, they may go their own way and do their own thing, because that's what happens. But it may not be the case. They may decide to be part of the legacy that you two build if you come together as a couple and eventually get married. You know, there's no simple, and this is for all of our listeners and viewers, there's no simple formula to life. There are a lot of variables. And there are a lot of variables in relationships. There are so many dynamics that all we have to do is try to eliminate the confusion, and then when we eliminate the confusion, we get clarity. So I'm going to pray for you because you do need help with your children. But I'm going to pray for you that someone will find you as a wife, not looking for a girlfriend, but find you as a wife because you've prepared yourself to be a wife, and he will obtain favor of the Lord because he's found a good thing. That's what the scripture says. I modified in the sense, but those are the words. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord. And every man of God is looking for the favor of God. You may be his favor. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at the retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need. And if you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. And the White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from the White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you want to know why are men complaining about the new expectation of you all as women. You said you want to enjoy life to the fullest. Okay, and you described that as being wine, dined, gifts, and travel. Okay, here's the problem. And you know, there's so much going on in our culture today, in society today. The problem is that you have expectations instead of standards. See, no man wants to be an expectation, but every real man will set a standard. He'll set a standard for what he wants in a woman. He'll set a standard for what he wants in a wife. He'll set a standard for what he wants for his life. You want to be wine dined, you want to be giving gifts, you want to travel. You're living for the culture. Because that's what's going on in the culture right now. You hear all of the dynamics or nightmares of what's going on in the culture. You know, women want, it's really interesting. I was having an exchange with a gentleman who was saying how difficult it is to date. And here's what's interesting. He's not even in our area. He's in another part of the country. But he's having the same issues that the people on this coast are having. And he tunes into the broadcast, and thank you for tuning in with us. But here's the reality. He was saying how women want him to buy a plane ticket for them to come and travel. They want him to take them on trips. They want him to take them out to the finest restaurants. They want gifts. They want handbags. They basically. He said one of his friends was saying one woman told him, if you're going to spend time with me, you got to pay for my time. There's a name for that. There's a career for that. Okay? The reality is that real men want to set standards. Tricks want to have expectations placed upon them. I'm calling them tricks because that's basically what they're being tricked. But they know they're being tricked. They don't mind taking you on trips, dining you and wining you, and buying you handbags because they'll get what they want and they'll move on. You get what you want, they get what they want. The problem is every time the two of them lay down together, there's an exchange of spirits, and then people start getting emotionally involved. And usually it's the woman, because men are not traditionally real men are not emotional. Everything's based on logic. So the logic is the man says, this is how much I'm going to spend on her until I get what I want, until I'm done getting what I want, and then I'm going to move on to the next one. But real men set standards and say, this is what I want in a woman. This is what I'm willing to do to share a great quality of life. And I know you all hear me talk about a great quality of life often, because that's really what is most important to God, is that we build a great quality of life. And then there's some parts to that. You want to maximize the quality of life. But you're not setting standards, you're setting expectations. And then you're wondering why men are complaining about it. Well, that's because real men are not searching for girlfriends. They're searching for wives. Real men are not interested in wasting money on wining you, dining you, buying you handbags and gifts and travel. Those are playboys. They just want to play. And they'll play with you as long as you allow them to play with you, or until they're done playing with you. That's it. So you end up with a closet full of handbags and a broken heart. A frustrated state of mind. Because your meal ticket left and has moved on to the next one who he wants to play with. So you say you want to enjoy life to the fullest. Do you? But yes, you're going to have complaints. And because your expectations are not the standards of men, not real men. Those are the things a man will do for his wife. He's not going to do that. Not a man. A playboy does that. Notice playboy. He's still playing. He's still doing what boys do, play. Boys play. Real men stand on standards. I know, in the culture they call it standing on business, but I've got a different perspective, and it's stand on standards. We set standards for our life, and we try to live up to those standards. So if you're asking why they're complaining, that's the reason why. Because real men, are not interested in playing. They're interested in being serious. They're looking for a diamond in the field of rocks, because there's a field of rocks out there. They're looking for the one person that they could build a life with. But as I said, if you're caught up in the culture and this is the way you choose to live, then do you. Because that's the best you can expect for yourself. Do whatever it is that you desire to do until God changes your perspective. Because sooner or later, you're going to recognize that that way of life is empty. It's not conducive for a great quality of life. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Have a great day today. Remember, we have a car wash tomorrow at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809, right in the parking lot. You'll